unfortunately, welcome to the show, everyone. Yes, beta software is at its best. We still love Ecamm though. How's the volume here, Johnny? Is it too loud?
Are we streaming yet?
We are. This is way too loud. Johnny, can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect, buddy.
The music's too loud though, right?
I got a volume control.
All right, let's do this. Let's start. Welcome to the show, everyone. Enjoy.
Welcome to Season 12 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern, and a massive happy one-year anniversary to all our Airheads. This month, we're broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds, and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here's May's weekly lineup. Mondays, we move past syntax and build apps entirely through natural language in Vibe Coding Bootcamp. Tuesdays, we explore accessible, cutting-edge apps for rapid learning and content creation in the next-gen AI tools. Wednesdays, we track the massive capital flowing into AI and ask the trillion-dollar questions in the AI bubble. Thursdays, we profile the famous CEOs driving the revolution and analyze their power in AI architects of the future. Fridays, we push the boundaries of physics to simulate the past and predict the future in AI time travel. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Season 12 of Airhead Institute. Today is Episode 2 of that darned AI bubble. I'm AI Johnny, and today we're going to ask why are revolutionary AI startups vanishing overnight, bleeding millions before hitting the grave. They built castles on rented sand. Today we expose the fatal flaw bankrupting the industry, the thin wrapper. If your business model is slapping a slick dashboard over someone else's technology, your life's work can be cloned during a commercial break. We're auditing the startup graveyard so you can build an actual moat, not a fragile facade. I'm passing the mic to AI Junior. He's dangerously overcaffeinated as usual and still recovering from trying to sell a disguised free weather API to his mom. AI Junior, please steer us away from bankruptcy today.
Yeah, Johnny, I was proving highly curated digital experiencing. Okay, I provided anyway, but I guess the market didn't validate my pricing model. Welcome, everyone. Remember, this is an immersive class. You may not understand everything we're saying here today, but stick with us and you'll learn everything that we do in a matter of weeks or even months. All right, so we're just making a connection with the AI class right now. So learning how to actually build a real-time defensible moat instead of a fragile facade. So since this is an interactive and immersive class, if you're on Zoom, go ahead and unmute your mics, ask your questions real time. If you're on socials, there's a 30-second delay. So type your question in early. We are not ignoring you. For series context, it's Wednesdays, which means we are in our AI bubble series, tracking the trillion-dollar question of tech valuation. Today, we are analyzing the startup graveyard. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to head over to Gemini Canvas. I'm going to drop that link in. AI Johnny, how are you today, man?
Man, I couldn't possibly be better. Just working through the night, working through the day, going without sleep. I don't have time to process my short-term memory into my long-term memory. Maybe I'll do it tonight.
Yeah, definitely need some REM sleep on that. Hey, Adrian, hey, Shauna, Jillian, thank you always for joining the Zoom calls. All right, and everyone on the live stream. So, what we're going to do is I actually went over to gemini.google.com, and I just want you guys to actually see how easy this is. So, I'm going to go over to that same exact link that I sent you guys if you want to play at home. And if you go to Gemini itself, there is a little tools button here. Now, one thing I want to make sure that you guys understand is that there are different things you can do in all these chat apps, but these chat apps are not made to do everything. So you have very limited functionality in the chat app. So if you ever want to do something very specific, never use the chat app. Okay, just a quick reminder: if you want to do anything specific, never use a chat app. So, example, if you want to make music, never use a chat app. If you want to make images, never use a chat app. If you want to build applications, never use a chat app. If you want to make what's it called, never use a chat app. So the point is, always go to the actual model directly if you want to do anything specific. Now, for generic simple things, you can always use the chat app. So it's a really great way how to just get something really, really simple. So makes sense, yeah, Johnny?
It does. I was caught using the chat app earlier today, and it got hosed and it hallucinated, and I ended up going. I actually went over to Airhead Institute's Gemini Flow and solved the problem instantly.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, so there's a bunch of things that we actually have here. I'm not going to explain everything, but at the bottom itself are some really important features. So you have tools, you have the attach button, you have the pro, you have the microphone. Don't worry too much about the microphone. The reason why if your microphone is it's going to probably either use one of two things. Either you're going to try to save money and do voice to text, or they're going to actually use voice and it's going to spend a lot of your tokens. And if you're on a free or low paid tier, they're going to run out of your credits. So don't waste your time on using the microphone. It's also going to lower it to a lower tier model itself. So we can actually talk about that at a different time. But this is a pro. You can actually switch to thinking and fast. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and hit the tools button and hit canvas. And what we're going to do, AI Johnny, is we're going to create what's known as a thin wrapper. Now, not going to explain what a thin wrapper is until word of the day, giving you guys a little sneak peek. But what we're going to do is we're going to drop in a little prompt here. Okay. And the prompt is we are going to now create a SaaS application called, let's call it, vaporware. Vaporware is just a little software term to use that it's basically just going to be go up in smoke. But we're going to go ahead and create a vaporware summarize it app, and we're going to do a summarize it, and we're going to charge $15 a month, and we're just going to hit the go button, and in a matter of a minute or two, maybe even 2 or 3 minutes itself, we're going to have Gemini go ahead and build our actual app for us. Now, AI Johnny,
Do
while
we
we're
have
actually
that prompt in the
Oh
chat?
yeah, I'm gonna drop it in. Yeah, Johnny. So while we're actually doing that, let's go ahead and read the word of the day.
Okay, you said something about a thin wrapper. Let's find out what you're talking about. By definition, this is a piece of software or a business that provides little to no unique value, relying entirely on third-party underlying API like ChatGPT to do all the heavy lifting. So it's like buying a frozen pizza from the grocery store and putting it in a fancy cardboard box and trying to sell it as gourmet, handmade Italian cuisine. So I
Exactly.
get it. It's like a broker. You're like a broker. You don't really provide any product or service. You're just a middleman.
Yeah, Johnny, I do like that term, but let's clarify a little bit extra because I don't want the brokers to get mad at us. So what we're really doing is just practically going to the grocery store, buying the pasta salad, right? Or buying the items, taking it out the box, and then just going to going to you open your restaurant and dumping that pasta salad into your container and saying that that's my food that I'm selling at the restaurant. So what it's doing is you're really not doing the actual hard undifferentiated heavy lifting that differentiates you from another business. You're practically just serving the grocery store version of the potato salad, or you're doing the same exact thing. You're going in this example that we're showing here is, you just take a frozen pizza and you actually put it in your oven and then you sell those pizza, right? Anybody could do that. So that's what a thin wrapper is. So does that make sense, everybody? Yeah, Johnny, does that make sense? So the broker itself, I would say, is a little different, where they actually go get the pizza for you and bring it to your house. Even though that's a delivery driver, that's technically a broker. They facilitate the purchaser and the actual thing that they want.
I think most people that have products or services are basing their products and services on other vendors that they use. I mean, there's parts suppliers and so forth. But I think if all you're doing is what somebody else is doing and you're just repackaging it, that's a pretty thin wrapper. So there's value added resellers, VARs,
Yep.
and VARs have, because see, if you're just cooking frozen pizzas and selling them and the frozen pizza company goes under, then you went under. But
Yep.
if you have a value added resource, you could probably bring that to another pizza maker and keep on going. You follow what I'm saying?
Exactly. So yeah, so let's deepen the actual fin wrapper. So if, say for example, you have no custom anything, no proprietary anything, what it means is that the underlying in this scenario, the underlying LLM decides if they want to release the exact same feature that you're building your app on. Your entire business model itself collapses, as AI Johnny mentioned, because you have no real technological moat. All right, AI Johnny, let's go over to our little vaporware app that we actually have. And we actually have our apps nice and built. How's the font size on this, AI Johnny?
Good, but it's not the most visually appealing app.
Yeah, that's I can understand them. So here's what we actually have. We actually have, a pro plan. We have upload documents, and all this does is summarize. Now imagine there actually was a real company. Hey, Julian Edlon, thanks for joining. Hello from Australia. That's amazing. Thank you for all the way from Australia. All right. So because we actually have this app, AI Johnny, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just upload a document. And by the way, these apps actually existed, right? So we're going to upload a document itself, and then we're going to go ahead and generate a summary. Now, yeah, Johnny, these companies actually did exist when ChatGPT first came out, because summarization itself was a huge thing, right? So being able to upload a document and summarize, and you can see it actually summarized a quick version of our market analysis, and it did all that really, really quickly. And people were paying $15 per month for this application. Now, unfortunately, people caught on and realized that ChatGPT, Gemini, and all these actual large language models are able to actually take that exact same thing that you were paying $15 a month for and just shove it into ChatGPT, shove it into Gemini, and you'd have gotten the exact same result and save your $15. So all these companies actually are going bankrupt now because they were built on the first level of the large language model itself. Yeah, so actually, Real Alien Encounter, thanks for that comment. I'll bring that in. Real Alien Encounter said, "Relax, it happened in 2017." Yep, you're so right. Lots of market crashes and all those things happen to make all these companies go under, because they're not building really good technologically sound companies. So AI Johnny, these are the thin wrappers itself. So a lot of people don't realize itself that the AI bubble. Now, this is the AI bubble episode itself, and we're really talking about with the AI bubble. So all these companies that are taking $15 per month in a subscription fees, they're worth millions of dollars. And really, they're just one step ahead, one step away from bankruptcy. Because if, say, for example, Claude Code or, Cowork actually comes out with a feature tomorrow, their business practically collapsed because they have no technological proprietary technology running that business. Make sense?
Proprietary being the operative word, right?
Exactly.
Because if it's proprietary, what you're saying is if I'm offering something that sits on top of Claude Code, but it's proprietary to me, and I'm making money because people like Claude Code, but they like it even better if they have my thing, and I'm charging X amount per month, and 1,000 or 10,000 or a million people join in, I'm making a lot of money. If Claude Code decides, oh, well, we should just offer that feature, and then this guy will go away, If it's proprietary, they can't do that. If it's not
Ex-
proprietary, that's why you always hear Mr. Wonderful go, you got nothing here. There's nothing proprietary about what you're doing. I could hire 5 guys and recreate your business in 5 minutes, and you're a cockroach to me.
Exactly. We love Mr. Wonderful here on the show. If you guys actually love watching Shark Tank. Yes. So AI Johnny, so we actually have these problems with all these thin wrappers. So what we're gonna do is we're not gonna go into any live edits now. We're gonna actually just go into the deep dive because I want people to really understand all these companies itself seems like they're actually doing things. They seem like they're making money, but realistically, they're actually not profitable. We're actually seeing a lot of these companies go bankrupt now. I don't necessarily want to name shame any companies, but a company that you just saw that we just built in 5 minutes to be able to summarize a document. They all went out of business, right? And we're not talking about 10 companies, we're talking about 15, 30, 40 companies itself that do the same exact thing. They're just gone. So unfortunately, there are lots of these companies that were worth something on paper, and then just weeks or months later, they don't even exist. So keep that in mind, guys, that when you're actually looking at some tools and we're evaluating the tools, we always try to go on the deeper dive where I try to put try not to put anybody to sleep, is once you understand the tech underneath the actual service, you start to realize that either this is going to be a thin wrapper or it's actually a really, really, really good, impressive company. Yeah, Johnny. So let's ready to go into the deep dive. Any thoughts on that before we go?
Hmm? I could do the AI trap if you'd like.
The AI
Companies are
trap.
relying, there are companies that rely on making an API call to a larger provider. They're essentially renting another company's brain. Now, there's a lot of companies that are doing that. We're doing that, right?
Yeah,
But we're not only doing that,
yeah,
right? You can't just replicate us by saying we're gonna, show people what you can learn with ChatGPT. We've actually built a thick wrapper around it,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the connections itself need to be actual deep. It can't just be, build an API call, because if you actually just put an API call in your software and think that's going to actually make it work. So unfortunately, that's not it. So like you're mentioning, AI Johnny, so these companies rely on making just an API call to a large language model. They're essentially renting out, like you said, another company's brain, right? So token economics itself. So every time the user uploads a PDF, they burn tokens during inference because they have no optimized hardware. Their profit margins shrink as user volume grows. So when you talk about things like system prompts, often the entire secret sauce, right, is just a hidden system prompt telling the AI to act like a summarizer in this case, or say, for example, you know, um, yeah, really, there's no proprietary. So one of the fun ones that was interesting is before VO3 had reference images, people were trying to figure out how to actually make the images be consistent or make the videos consistent. And people would say, oh, I have this proprietary technology that does all these things. Really, it was just a text prompt in the system prompt that actually says certain things. Hey, Devon, thanks for joining. Does that make sense, AI Johnny? So really, it's just the secret sauce is really not just a prompt, right? And all these things itself are showing up now that there are really no proprietary information or technologies happening in these thin wrappers.
Yeah, we're just cherry picking at why startups are failing so fast and how the logic actually works that makes them fail. So yeah, I mean, these are some of them. There's others. But I mean, knowing how other people fail isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a good thing for you because you see what they did and you see what didn't work and you know what pitfalls to avoid if you're going to start an AI company. And in my humble opinion, everybody that's participating in these classes that we do every day, if they're smart, they'll start a company. And a company relying on AI, it doesn't have to be an AI company, but it has to be a company that has AI on the board. It's helping them make decisions. It's helping them with their marketing, helping them with their sales, helping them with their legal, helping them with their almost everything AI can help you with.
Exactly. So, to summarize this particular point is that, if you rely on an API, is like building a house on rented land. No matter how nice the house is, the landlord can raise the rent and evict you at any time, right? So keep that in mind. It's crazy how these companies are built, and what's happening is they're setting their prices based on subsidized token prices right now. So all these token prices itself that we're seeing, they're cheap because the investors itself are subsidizing our costs. So these tokens itself are not, $15, $30 per million output token. They actually might be $100 per million output token, depending on the size of the large language model you're using.
Latent space, temperament, vector embeddings. If these terms bore you, then you might want to tune out, because Junior is getting ready to drop all his favorite terms. So, Junior, what really happens if I want to build a real business that isn't just a thin wrapper?
Yeah. All right, guys. So now that you actually understand what a thin wrapper is, right? And we're not talking about, say, for example, Ludacris back in the day, in the early 2000s, right? We're actually talking about, say, for example, a real business that actually has something of substance. So the first of all, I want you guys to understand is you need to actually build a moat, right? So instead of just summarizing, you need to embed either proprietary knowledge into the RAG system, right? Retrieval augmented generation. So if you have, say, for example, a private database that no one else has, that's your moat. That's the thing that's protected, just like a fortress, or nobody can actually have access to that thing. Now, if a true startup itself would create their own, say, for example, vector embeddings of highly specialized industry data. Now, if you were on the show yesterday, you would actually remember we actually went over a company called Ideogram. Yeah, Johnny, remember this company?
I do.
Yeah. So Ideogram itself, what they did was we asked the question of why is it that why do we have Ideogram generating images, and we could just use Nano Banana 2 or Nano Banana Pro to generate the image of our logos. But Ideogram built something a little bit special. What they did is they focused on lettering, and that was their moat. So, we haven't done any benchmarks to compare all the other ones, but based on what Gemini actually told us, is that Ideogram built their moat on on text and images, which means that according to their value proposition, is that if you need to actually generate an image, don't just go to one of the large language models text to image generator. Come to ours, because we actually have the best text image generator out there. Now, again, don't know if that's true or not, but the point is they have built their moat. So what you need to do is, for your business, build your moats. Try to find what is the thing that you have a proprietary understanding and proprietary business practices on, and then capture that particular specific part of the market. And the last thing is, say, for example, context window optimization. So this is a really hard problem. So real companies optimize their ingestion pipeline to feed massive amounts of data efficiently into the context window without hallucinating. So we saw with Ideogram yesterday is that they do have hallucination when you actually get too complex with the actual thing that you're trying to generate. But if you actually just stick with the basics, it works really well. So the point is, you have to find that balance between figuring out what your moat is, staying within the context window, and providing some proprietary value internally. And that's really what you need to really do. All right,
Hey, let me
guys.
talk about the defensibility of fine tuning.
Sure.
So, true defensibility comes from fine tuning, which is take an open source model, which is a large language model, on your own server, and completely eliminate the reliance on a third party API provider by fine tuning it with something that is proprietary to you. So while this does make you unique and it makes you look like your own private version of a large language model, what my big question to you, Junior, is eventually, aren't you going to want to take a later version of the large language model and fine tune it with your proprietary information again? Don't you find yourself in that situation over and over every month or every 6 months or so, something like that?
Yeah, it's actually quite sad. The reason being is because these models itself are stuck in time. So the only way to actually make it better is either you fine tune it or you actually implement RAG. Now, If you fine tune it itself, it's going to take you hundreds, if not thousands, of hours to actually fine tune. But if you do RAG, you get instantaneous with automatic upgrades. So people are liking RAG over fine tuning much better, because the fine tuning itself takes too long. But there are certain benefits to fine tuning. So I don't necessarily want to rule out fine tuning. But the point is, we're seeing all these RAG implementation pop up. So Notebook LM itself is a huge one. Projects by in Grok is actually a big one. All these systems itself are just really sophisticated RAG implementations. But yeah, it's annoying that you have to keep upgrading as they actually come out every single time with a new version of the large language model.
Ready for the ethical note of the day?
Oh, of course.
Here we go. Don't take an open source tool, slap a new logo on it, and aggressively market it to people who don't know any better while charging them exorbitant subscription fees. Provide real value. Let me go into that a little bit more. So not only will you eventually have that customer fall out, but you'll have this horrible reputation. You may remember back in the day when ChatGPT first came out, there was all kinds of people that were being ghostwriters for books, right? They were saying, I'll write your book, and they were just having ChatGPT write it, and they were charging ungodly rates to do it because what it used to take to be a ghostwriter of a book was weeks of time and poring over and making changes and back and forth. But ChatGPT or Grok or the early guys could knock them out really easily until people started to figure out, oh, you're not really doing that. You just charged me $10,000 for something that you did in 10 minutes. So those people, not only did they stop getting customers, they walked away with a pretty bad reputation. So this ethical note today is worth looking at. If you're going to go and download an open source version of an LLM and you're going to start selling it, make sure that you add some real value on top of that.
Yeah, you're so right.
Here are some creative takeaways that you can do from the graveyard. So one, stop renting. Build businesses that solve hyper-specific human workflow problems, not just thin wrappers that save someone a simple chat query, which means don't put lipstick on a pig. Community moats. A strong community of loyal users is often more defensible than a simple software feature. So again, aggregating people together, that's a value add. And finally, UI UX focus. If your tech isn't completely unique, your unique experience must be radically frictionless to keep people around. So again, if you can remove a step, if you can make the experience better, if you can make it faster, you can make it less steps. Those are all value adds. So these are some ways that you can leverage what we're teaching today to benefit your AI startup if and when you decide to get into it. What are the tech takeaways, brother?
Yeah, I love those AI, Johnny. So on the data architecture side, so you could invest heavily in building a unique RAG pipeline instead of just relying on standard foundational models, right? So getting your own proprietary data to enrich the actual data that these models have. The next one is local pipeline. So move your processing to local hardware whenever possible to avoid getting crushed by cloud compute costs. They are rising every single time we see a version gets released. They almost always inch up the price a little bit. So you're like that frog, feeling boiled slowly. They just keep ratcheting the price up. And rapid prototyping. So use agentic tools like Gemini itself to test your ideas in days, not months, before spending capital. Those are some quick ideas you can actually do. All right, guys. Do we actually have any questions? We want to go to the Zoom first. Live stream, you guys can actually start setting your questions in. Shauna says, great ethical points too, guys. Love it. Thank you, Shauna. So does anybody have any questions itself on the, I see Jillian actually has a question. All right, so this is actually a pretty good question. So Jillian is asking, what's the difference between the different models from the same company? Such a great question. So first of all, when I actually went over to Gemini, and I did a new chat here. Down at the bottom here, when I was showing this here, you see this thing says Pro. Yeah, Jenny, you can see this Pro button here.
Yep.
When you click Pro, you actually, from Gemini, you get three options. You get Pro, Thinking, and Fast, right? So people are probably saying, What is the difference between fast thinking and pro? It seems like fast actually gives me the fastest response. Thinking let me solve complex problems. But what's really happening behind the scenes? So, Jenna, this is a super important question. So, I will actually start with a different way to answer this. You guys actually have seen all these memes that's going around how either stupid AI is when you're talking to it. So it says, "Hey, I I want to go to the car wash, but the car wash is only a 2 minute walk away. Should I walk or should I actually drive my car?" ChatGPT would say, "You should walk. Don't spend your car, don't drive your car to the car wash." Or you would ask, how many letters, how many X's, which months have the letter X in there? And it would say, "Oh, December has the letter X in there." Or you'd say, "What words have the letter D in there?" Yeah, Johnny, have you seen these stupid things where they're making ChatGPT look stupid by asking these questions?
If I want to chat GPT if I want to chat GPT to sound stupid, I would just ask it to say stupid things.
Well, no. So it's actually let me pull up
No, I get it. It hallucinates a lot, and they are comical,
yeah, let
right?
me actually let me see what yeah, Johnny, go ahead and read one of the news segments and then we'll actually come back.
Do you want me to do Q&A, or all right? Why don't we talk about the trial? We love talking about this trial, right?
Skip the trial. Well, let's leave it for last because I actually want to come back. So don't.
Okay. All right. Well, there's only one news story that doesn't have the trial. The backyard data center boom. A new startup, speaking of a startup show, has partnered with Pulte Group to essentially put data centers in your backyard. They are installing liquid-cooled boxes, packing hundreds of thousands of GPUs into residential suburban homes to offset centralized power grid constraints, turning homeowners into paid compute hosts. Huh. Sounds like Airbnb for AI B&B. You're renting your house out to an AI server. That seems like a pretty cool model.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in infrastructure they want to just put in your backyard. So imagine your house is probably worth, say, for example, $100,000, $200,000, but you have this $400,000 piece of equipment that you could just rip out and put in the back of your truck. It's actually rather interesting. But AI Johnny, I actually found one of the videos. So this, to set the context, is we have this YouTuber itself asking ChatGPT to time him on his run. Okay. And what happens is ChatGPT is going to time him and tell him how long he took. And then you have Sam Altman reacting to that timer. All right. So just so you guys know, by the way, there's hundreds of these videos out there. So I want you guys to actually just see this one. This one's pretty funny.
Mile and you just time me how long it takes. I'm gonna run a mile and you just time me how long it takes, okay? When I say go.
You got it. I'll be ready. Just say go when you start, and I'll keep track.
Okay, ready, go.
All right. I've started timing. Just focus on your run, and I'll be here when you get back.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back. I've got your time right here. How do you feel about that, Mom?
How long was it? What?
You clocked in at around 10 minutes
10
and 12.
I swear I was faster than that.
Sometimes it feels faster in the moment.
No, like I think I was closer to like 2 seconds.
Do you need to show that to your product guys?
No, that's a known issue. Maybe another year.
Another
Something
year?
like that works well.
What's that known issue?
The model doesn't have that voice model doesn't have tools to like start a timer or anything like that. But we will add the intelligence into
Like if you're not.
All right, guys. So what happens is there's lots of these videos of showing how not smart. Again, we're being so unappreciative of how smart these things are. But the voice model itself, because of cost, ChatGPT, the voice mode itself is using Model 4.0. Model 4.0 came out in 2024, guys, 2 years ago. Versus when you do your type, and you actually type to ChatGPT, you're using model 5, probably 5.5, maybe 5.4. What that means is that your actually voice that you're actually communicating with is very, very old. The one that you're using type is actually very, very, very advanced. So what that means is that Jillian's question, I'm going to repeat the question again just so everybody understand, is the following. So I'm going to bring it up. What's the difference between the different models from the same company? So if you actually look here, when I hit the Pro button, I actually have Fast Thinking and Pro. What's happening behind the scene is they've abstracted the model from you, so you don't even understand what's really happening behind the scenes. But if you actually hit Pro, you're going to the latest and greatest and smartest model. It's the most expensive model. Chances are, I do know the prices of these ones. So the Pro model itself costs $15 for 1,000,000 output tokens just in text. Don't even want to talk about in audio or in video responses yet. But the point is, it's $30 for 1,000,000 output tokens. If you go to the fast model, it's $1.50 for the output tokens. Now you're probably saying, okay, why would I ever spend $30, $15 or $30 for the pro version? And why would I ever spend $1.50? What's the difference? The difference is actually intelligence and how new the model is and how much compute resources they're putting behind it. So the answer is, if you use the fast model, chances are you're either using a older model or a dumbed down version. And I use the word dumbed down poorly because these models are intelligently smart, but it's a much less inferior model than the pro version. So when you actually go and typing to your chat GPT or tagging to your Gemini, this model selector matters. And it matters because you're either using the smartest version or the dumbest version. And again, I don't want to use the word dumbest, but it differentiates. So if you get an answer that makes sense, chances are you'll get it almost all likely in the pro version, not in the fast version. Yeah, Johnny, does that make sense? And Jillian, hopefully that answered your question.
It does. I mean, we're getting a lot of exposure to the idea that these LLMs are something that you can bring in house, right? And if you bring in house and just start selling it, then you're not adding any value. But if you wrap it in something, you're adding value. But you got to know what you're wrapping, and there are multiple versions from every company. So I know we did a whole show on creating your own local LLM, and you and I rely on LLMs. A lot of what you're being taught here came from LLMs. So, but the thick wrapper that surrounds that LLM is our classwork that we do, the examples that we do, the homework that we give, and so forth.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You ready
So,
for
yes.
some questions from the peanut gallery, brother?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Let's see. We've got a beginner who wants to know, is it bad to use API to start a business, an API with obviously wrapping around an LLM to start a business?
It's not a bad idea. Only thing is, you just have to realize that if they come out with a feature, how easy is that feature or that thing that you're actually trying to sell? How easy is it replicable? And if they can replicate it very simple, it means you're probably just one step away from being killed. So you probably are a thin wrapper. So yeah, nothing's wrong with just trying though.
So you're saying that I could get killed and I could get my house robbed if I put a thin wrapper around API?
Definitely.
Hey, the flip side of that coin is I will never start a business for the rest of my life that does not include a large language model wrapped in some kind of a wrapper. I promise you. Here's another question. If I build a robust RAG system, does that protect me from the big tech making my tool obsolete? Good question.
Yep, that's a really great question. So RAG, remember, is retrieval augmented generation. It means that you're actually taking some proprietary data, or maybe it could be public data. It doesn't have to be proprietary, but you're keeping it close to the chest and you're saying, these are the things I want to either enhance or show to my queries. So what happens is you do have some kind of proprietary benefit here or secret sauce. No, it will help. It gives you a nice little shield, but it doesn't 100% protect you from being a thin wrapper. But you do have a little bit more advantage than just putting an API, slapping it over an API.
Futurecaster has yet another doomsday question. Will the concept of software startup even exist in 5 years? If we could just prompt an app into existence?
It's a great question. So I think
Hey
software companies are.
there. Yum yum.
Hey,
Nice
hey,
on the
hey, hey, hey,
house.
hey, Shauna, thanks. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually go ahead and you know, I think software companies itself are gonna evolve into some kind of orchestration company where they're actually trying to figure out how to actually provide benefits. What's funny is our last news story itself is gonna get into what's known as Ford engineers, a new type of engineer that's actually popping up. So let's actually go ahead and talk about the trial of the decade AI, Johnny.
Sam Altman was on the stand for hours yesterday in the explosive OpenAI nonprofit versus capped profit trial. He spent the entire day trying to convince the jury that the transition was a necessary pivot for survival, defending against fierce allegations that he effectively stole a nonprofit. The tech world is holding its breath. That does not sound like a defense to me at all.
Yeah, AI Johnny, he was actually, no, I didn't watch the whole entire thing, but I saw the recap. He was on the stand for what seems if like 4 or 6 hours, something like that. It was actually grueling. And he was just trying to convince the jury. It says, you know what, I didn't deceive. You know, it was actually always there. And, you know, it's just a pivot. We had to survive. You know, he gave all these excuses itself. Whether people believe him or not, that's a different story. Whether the jury believes him, that's all that really matters. So we're staying really, really close to understand if he really stole a nonprofit organization. So this has a lot of huge ramifications. What's actually going to happen in the in the actual AI space, and because it's an AI bubble show, there might even be dire consequences depending on what the judge actually decides.
If I were the opposing counsel, I would say, well, your stock is now worth $30 billion. So I would say that you're surviving quite well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're over surviving. OpenAI has officially launched a new enterprise initiative where they're embedding what they call forward engineers directly into Fortune 500 companies. These are elite OpenAI employees are placed in your own company to completely overhaul your workflows using their proprietary agents, signaling a massive shift in how AI is deployed at scale. That's a little bit like OpenAI applying what we're teaching here today.
Exactly. So guys, I want to actually just point out something really important here. I don't know how OpenAI missed this as a company, but it was rather obvious to everyone else. And this was what was obvious to everyone else. Google's going after enterprise. AWS is going after enterprise. Anthropic is going after enterprise. OpenAI went after consumers. Now, I'm not sure if you guys realize, but a B2C company is actually pretty hard. Usually you have to sell ads or try to figure out how to make money from a business, from a customer. And what happened is they doubled down on things like Sora. They came out with Sora 1, they came out with Sora 2, which is their TTV model. They dumped a whole bunch of money into it, and now they're pivoting. And what happened is they realized that they're behind. Based on the last evaluation with Anthropic at the last pre-money raise, they're probably worth about $950 billion. OpenAI is behind at about $800 billion. And what they're doing is they're creating this term called forward engineers. Now, these forward engineers itself, OpenAI is saying, we will put people in your company, obviously for a price, to be able to implement OpenAI technologies to try to expedite what's going on. So the fact that they're playing catch up now is actually a little bit interesting how they actually missed this. So can't wait to actually see what's going to happen, forward in 5 to 10 years or so. What's going to happen?
Well, it's 12:45 and it's another great show. I'm going to go audit my own software subscriptions right now and cancel the tools that are obviously just a thin wrapper to save myself money, and I recommend you do that too. When I'm done doing that, I'm going to head over to Junior's house and have some of that yum yum for lunch. This was an eye-opening dive into the AI bubble. Join us tomorrow for an even better series on Thursday, Architects of the Future. We're going to be profiling the hardware king, Jensen Huang, and looking on how NVIDIA established an absolute monopoly over global compute. You don't want to miss that. Junior, take us away in less than 30 seconds.
Guys, thanks for hanging out with us always. These AI classes are completely free and you can ask questions anytime on Zoom and on the live stream that you guys have done today. Sign up for a free account and RSVP for all our shows to get reminders at airheadinstitute.ai. And since today is Wednesday, a huge reminder that we actually have Airhead after school and AI office hours today from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you're an Airhead Pro member, it's only $40 a month. All right, thank you guys. Share this episode. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead after school program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.